Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BS with AJ. I am AJ. It's the Talk America Radio Network. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy winter. We have here this weekend, I'm doing the show here on the 8th. It got up above 32 degrees today in North Dakota after last weekend being down around 29 below actual temperature before wind chill. That's 65, 70 degree swing in a week, and I cannot tell you how welcome it has been. Still chilly? Yes, absolutely. Tolerable? Livable? Yes. So a little break for us, and boy is that energizing. Quick update, I wanted to let you know, last week in the show we talked about Huma Abedin, how she forwarded State Department passwords to her Yahoo email account and then forwarded them to other members of the Hillary team. Well, there's an update on that. It appears that, you can search this on Twitter, online as well, but it appears that she backed up her emails to the pervert Wiener's, her husband's laptop, after she was no longer, after Hillary wasn't at the State Department any longer. So I just don't see, it's such an indefensible thing that we see done, that we have seen has been done by Huma Abedin, and has been done by Hillary Clinton, has been done by her team, the Clinton Foundation, the DNC, all of it. It's so indefensible. It's so obvious, the disdain for American law, the disdain for the American citizen. Boy, I look forward to seeing what may come this year as we learn that so many investigations have been opened and have been ongoing into whether it's the email scandal or the DNC, the Clinton Foundation, the pay-to-play at the State Department, all of these things. Also, of course, the dossier, Hillary's funding of that fraudulent and untrue opposition research, her own collusion with the Russians to try to influence the election, her own meddling with the Democratic primary process so that Crazy Bernie wouldn't get the nomination. So much going on with her and her ilk, and I really look forward to seeing it crumble, cascade down from that house of cards that we have learned existed. I have a very disturbing story to share with you, written by NBC News, and it's Mach, M-A-C-H. I guess that's maybe short for machine. I always associate that with the speed of travel, Mach being breaking the sound barrier, but this is, it's really disturbing, as I say. I wanted you to hear it if you haven't seen it already. My wife saw this before I did, but I went ahead and printed it out here, and I want to read this to you. It's somewhat lengthy, not really, but the information that's contained in this is extremely important. I think this represents modern progressivism. I think this represents the modern left. I think this represents the kind of people that populate the Democrat Party. I think this is representative of what is wrong with culture, the mainstream pop culture in this country. What is wrong with the left? What is wrong with the people who call themselves Antifa and call themselves Democrats and call themselves leftists and progressives? I think this story illustrates it. The story, as I say, comes from NBC News Mach. They're on Twitter as well, but that is the science and technology and innovation sector, if you will, of NBC News. It charts the future of scientific discoveries and technological innovations and their impacts on our lives. This is the title of the headline that brought me up so forcefully as I was scrolling through my Twitter feed earlier today. Here's the question, the headline. Would child sex robots stop pedophilia or promote it? ? Some say the devices could provide a safe outlet for individuals who are sexually attracted to children. This is by Mr. David Cox. This was written January 4th. So I'm a few days behind on this, but having never heard of NBC News Mach or Mach or Match or whatever it is, it doesn't surprise me. Maybe this sector of NBC News will get some more attention now and we'll shine a light on it. Here's the story. Sex robots are nothing if not controversial. Some say they perpetuate pornographic representations of women and fuel misogyny by suggesting that consent isn't required for sexual activity. Others call them a boon for people who have trouble with conventional sexual relationships and couples with mismatched sex drives. Now some experts are further stoking the sex bot debate by arguing that the devices could become a deterrent to child molestation. They envision a future in which pedophiles are prescribed childlike sex bots, CSBs, just in case you didn't know, so they can act out their urges without victimizing anyone. There's wide agreement among experts that neither child sex dolls nor CSBs should be freely available for purchase. But some experts say the time has come to conduct scientific research to gauge their possible use as a deterrent for pedophilia, a psychiatric disorder that causes sexual attraction to prepubescent children and that is now treated with psychotherapy, or in some cases, libido-curbing drugs. The aim would be to examine whether, when used under clinical supervision, the devices could provide a safe outlet for individuals who are sexually attracted to children. Quote, "We don't know the answers yet," says Dr. Ron Arkin, a professor of robotics at the Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta and an expert on human-robot interactions. An expert on human-robot interactions? Okay, whatever. Quote, "But recidivism in child sex offenders is a major problem in society that needs to be addressed, and there's a possibility that technology may be able to help with that." This is insane to me. This whole story, that's why I wanted to share it with you, but this is how modern scientists and modern progressives and modern leftists think. The story moves on under a new heading here, "Safer Outlet or Fueling the Fire." Quote, "Child sex dolls are already a reality, and in the near future, childlike sex bots will exist, so we have to decide what to do about this issue," says Mark Berendt, a philosopher at ULB University in Belgium. Quote, "Do we ban them completely, or do we investigate on a small scale whether this technology could be helpful in preventing attacks?" With child-sized silicone sex dolls already being made and shipped globally by firms in China and Japan, Berendt thinks it's just a matter of time before child sex dolls are given artificial intelligence and the ability to talk and move. Laws may be one barrier to the use of CSBs as deterrents, though. In several countries, child-sized sex dolls are outlawed as child pornography. Similar laws have yet to be enacted in the U.S., but last month, U.S. Representative Dan Donovan, Republican from New York, introduced legislation that would ban the importation and distribution of child sex dolls and child sex bots. Good for you, Dan. Good on you, Dan. I totally agree. Continuing with the story, "During my 20 years," this is a quote from Dan, "During my 20 years as a prosecutor, I put away animals who played out their disgusting fantasies on innocent children," unquote. Donovan said in a written statement, quote, "What I saw and heard was enough to make anybody sick. Now, as a legislator in Congress, I'm introducing a bill to ban the newest outlet for pedophiles, child sex dolls. They don't belong in our communities," unquote. I totally agree, Mr. Donovan. Donovan, of course, is hardly alone in his abhorrence of pedophilia and his concern about child sex dolls and sex bots. Quote, "I've spoken to adults who were abused as children, and they don't support the use of CSBs," says Dr. Kathleen Richardson, a professor of ethics and culture of robots at De Montfort University in Leicester, England, and director of the UK-based non-profit Campaign Against Sex Robots. Quote, "They say that pedophiles who offend are so cut off from their own humanity that giving them a machine wouldn't address the underlying problem," unquote. According to Richardson, there's no evidence that adult sex dolls or sex bots have curbed demand for prostitutes. And 85% of the men arrested for possession of child sex dolls in the UK in recent years were found to possess more familiar examples of child pornography. A new subheading for this story, "Making Simulations More Realistic." At the University of Montreal, researchers led by psychologist Dr. Patrice Renaud are exploring behavior of men with pedophilia by watching them navigate a virtual park filled with computer-simulated pre-adolescents. Renaud and his subjects don virtual reality goggles and walk through the realistic-looking park and discuss the scenario as a way to help men learn coping mechanisms that curb their desires. But realistic as the park is, Renaud says encounters with childlike robots in an actual room would be more effective as a tool for helping the men learn to control their urges in the face of temptation. He says the bots could be programmed to display realistic fear, to amplify the realism, adding that combining the encounters with cognitive behavioral therapy and electrical stimulation of the men's brains could help them develop the empathy they need to avoid perpetrating sexual assaults on children. Insanity. And these people are supposed to be the doctors and the experts, and it's just insanity. To finish the story, quote, pedophilia is difficult to treat as you can't change this sexual preference, unquote, Renault says. But, he goes on, you can try to help these people understand how to deal with it. I'm not sure that you can. Back to the story. For all his enthusiasm for employing CSBs in his research, however, Renault is among those who are skeptical about the broader use of child sex bots. Oh, how encouraging. Quote, from Mr. Renault, I'm not sure we should take chances with that, he says. Maybe some individuals would have self-control to stick to robots, but for others, the experience may push them further to seek out real children. Ladies and gentlemen, these people are insane. The people that are supposed to treat the insane people and the damaged people and the unhealthy people, they are themselves unhealthy. They have been made unhealthy, unhinged, delusional by the very institutions that we trust to train them and give them license to practice their so-called medicine. It is absolutely disgusting. This type of question, this type of thought process, this type of approach, to me represents leftism, progressivism, modern science, and you can't step away from it, the Democrat Party in the United States of America. May they never again hold power anywhere. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more. This is Blowin Smoke with AJ here on the Talk America Radio Network.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. That's 800-378-2714.
Welcome back to BS with AJ. I am AJ. Piggybacking off of last segment, the story we read, asking the question, would child sex robots stop pedophilia or promote it? The problem with this thinking, for me, the problem with this whole psychiatric, psychological approach of medicine on the sicknesses and the disgusting behaviors and sicknesses of the human being, it represents to me an inability to deal and cope with these problems in our society in the first place. I.e., what I'm saying is, I think that there are some situations where a person is broken and beyond repair, that there is no pulling them back from the edge. There is no changing that behavior that is within them. For instance, I don't believe that there's any system of therapy, either physical, chemical, biological, whatever it may be, that would have changed that individual and caused him to not be murderous. Right on down the line with a huge number of the violent offenders in our society. I simply believe that those violent offenders, when they commit those acts of violence, profess themselves to be unfit to remain a part of any civilized culture. And the billions of dollars that is sunk into these programs and research and efforts to try to save everybody from themselves, I think is, well, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, and it's a type of virtue signaling and a type of arrogance and narcissism in the medical field that I have a real hard time with. Now, I totally expect and would understand that there would be a lot of pushback against myself on that. People, including myself, all of us, we have families, we live in societies, we live in communities. People we know end up doing things we never would have thought that they did. What I'm suggesting is exactly as harsh as it sounds. That the kinds of consequences that need to be in place for these types of actions and behaviors, well, we've seen them throughout history. We have capital punishment in some states in this country, and I believe that in many cases that's the only kind of punishment necessary, whether it's capital punishment or whether it's locking someone up and keeping them out of our society for the rest of their lives. I would absolutely advocate for that, and especially in the realms of the sexual crimes and homicide. I don't care what it costs. My way to balance that out and to balance those books and bring some equivalence to the situation would be, why don't we decriminalize marijuana and get all of the inmates that are filling our prisons, that are creating the penal economy and the penal industry in this country, move them out, empty the beds for the real offenders, for the real dangerous people, and put the dangerous people there and leave the ones who aren't, who simply possessed a plant that some people don't like. Let people live their lives. Let liberty and the pursuit of happiness happen. And when someone damages or infringes or assaults another individual in their pursuit of happiness, that's when it matters. We cannot legislate away risk. We must accept the risk of being a free country. We must accept the risk that liberty and freedom guarantee in society, because not everyone will be capable of handling it. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah, there are people out there around the world who, because child sex robots already exist, and where are they being made? China and Japan. Eastern civilizations, quote-unquote, where it's acceptable to fantasize about prepubescent children sexually. And we really actually have to ask the question whether or not child sex robots, have some place in our society. Absolutely mind-blowing. And that is the modern liberal progressive party. The modern liberal progressive Democrat Party in this country stands shoulder to shoulder with people who speak that way and think that way. And if it's someone like me or yourself who don't agree, we're the problem. They'll come after us. We'll get a target painted on our backs or on our foreheads because we don't agree with their desire to try to rehabilitate a pedophile or a rapist or a murderer. Absolutely ridiculous. To follow on with what the liberal, leftist, progressive, Democrat agenda, socialist agenda in this country, what happens? What are the results of it? Well, we've talked before. We know about Baltimore. We know about Chicago. We know about Cleveland. We know about L.A. We can look around the country and see decades, sometimes a century-long record of whether or not liberal, progressive, socialist policies work, what fruit they bear. But here's a quick highlight, a new example of the kind of fruit that they bear, a confirmation that they do nothing but damage the communities in which they are implemented. This one from the New York Post, by the Post editorial board. Here's the story. Teachers at JHS 80 have screamed for help. They say they fear for their lives, citing rampant violence and unsafe conditions at their school. And most of its kids can't pass the state tests. So what does Team de Blasio do? Praise JHS's 80s progress and graduated out of the mayor's signature renewal school turnaround program. No joke. As Susan Edelman and Sarah Dorn reported in Sunday's New York Post, teachers at the Bronx school have been begging for someone to do something about conditions there before it's too late. Principal Emmanuel Polanco has been sweeping the horrors under the rug, they say. Quote, "We are in fear for our lives and safety," one teacher wrote, a union rep. Another reached out to the FBI, pleading for it to probe Polanco and calling him, quote, "in extreme danger," unquote, to teachers, staff, and kids. Staffers note the constant fights, disruptive kids allowed to run wild, mold, grime, rust, and rats, and administrators who try to cover it all up. The City Department of Education is investigating allegations that a 6th grader passed out after 2 8th graders dropped him on his head, and school brass tried to make it seem like an accident. In another, Polanco and a security guard slammed a 7th grader to the ground, she and her mother claim. A teacher also reported the brawl to the Department of Education. JHS 80 should have been closed years ago. Instead, the city put it into the renewal program, which is meant to turn around Gotham's worst schools. Since 2014, Mayor de Blasio has dumped more than, get this, more than $500 million on 94 renewal schools, including JHS 80. And now the school is, quote, graduating from renewal because only 80% of its kids bomb English, instead of 95% as in 2014, while 85% flunk math versus 93% in 2014. That's progress in Blossland, says the New York Post editorial board. Set the bar low, cite meaningless gains, and claim success at a school that's still a disaster. In the wake of the Post's expose, the City Council will probe JHS 80, yet Team de Blasio is encouraged by the school. To quote a mayoral aide, it said, it has, quote, a long way to go, but it's on the right track. Have they no shame, finishes the Post's editorial board. Ladies and gentlemen, $500 million on 93 schools, and success is measured as an 85% failure rate in English and 85% flunk rate in math. It is absolutely, only 80% bombed English, not 85, but 80, and an 85% flunk rate in math. That's success in the world of the communist socialist de Blasio and the communist socialist left. These are the people who want to question Trump's ability to be our president. These are the people who want people who do not believe in global warming to be locked up. These are the people who talk about clingers, bitter clingers to their Bibles and their guns. These are the people who question the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. These are people who have no respect for the Fourth Amendment. The Democrat Party, the left, the progressive movement in this country is dangerous. Not just in an enigmatic political sense. It is in a very real sense dangerous to the individuals, the people of this country. You and me. As I've said many times, we are the collateral damage in their political war against our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. We are the collateral damage in their desire for multiculturalism that allows terrorists to walk among us and sleeper cells to wake up. We are the collateral damage of $500 million sunk into 93 schools to try to renew them. And our kids are the collateral damage when those programs aren't successful and only 15% changes and 80% flunk English and 85% flunk math. That's an acceptable rate to de Blasio, the communist in New York City. Dangerous. We cannot allow ourselves to be the collateral damage any longer. That's part of the message that we sent when we elected Trump. And I hope that we'll double down and put an exclamation point and underline that message by re-electing him in 2020. And I hope that we'll continue to put an exclamation point and underline that message, that we will not be the collateral damage in the political war being fought for power and money in Washington, D.C., as we, in 2018, turn our country even more red in our states, our local elections, in our Congress. This is a very real battle we're fighting against a very nefarious, wrong dark political agenda known as progressivism, leftism, liberalism in this great United States. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more. This is BS with AJ. It's the Talk America Radio Network.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.
Let's dance.
Welcome back to BS with AJ, ladies and gentlemen. Did you watch the Golden Globes? Yeah, I didn't either. I gotta say, I've said it before, I could not care less than I already do about what a bunch of overpaid pretenders think, want, desire, believe, preach about. I couldn't care less. There's all this nationwide respect for Oprah. I have zero. She's a charlatan. She's a salesperson. She fooled millions and millions of middle-class Americans in this country for decades to shell out cash to her and her products and the books and this and that and the other, doing nothing but enriching herself and being a hypocrite the whole time. And now the left believes that she somehow will be some kind of sure thing for the presidential chair, the Oval Office. She's somehow now a candidate. As we hear them criticize Donald Trump for being a billionaire businessman who was on TV, yet now they want a billionaire businesswoman who was on TV. The hypocrisy on the left and the Democrat Party and the progressive side of the aisle in this country is beyond the pale. They have no shame. They are the most dangerous faction in our society. That's right. The liberals, the left, the progressives, the Democrat Party, who has been taken over by that agenda, by that ideology. They are the biggest enemy we have. Quick note for you, another story here from the Washington Examiner. This is by Joseph Lawler. In case you didn't know this, Democrats are warning Trump IRS chief against inflating tax cuts with new withholding tables. That's the headline. We understand, as the tax cuts, that bill was passed, that as soon as February we would be seeing more money on our checks because less would be withheld. Well, top Democrats, they're so smart. They care so much about the American people. They found a way to try to slow this down. I don't believe it'll work, but we have to know, you have to learn what links these people in the Democrat Party, these leftist, progressive, socialists, liberals in the Democratic Party, how far they're willing to go to keep you and me from benefiting from our own hard work, to keep you and me from having more of what we earn in our hard work, to stay in our wallets and in our bank accounts, for us to use as we see fit, instead of giving it to them to blow on all of their pet policies. Here's the story. The top Democratic tax writers warned the acting IRS commissioner Monday against setting this year's tax withholding tables to inflate the size of the tax cuts, implicitly suggesting that the administration would monkey with the withholding rules for political gain. What nonsense. They don't have to monkey with anything. The gain is real. What nonsense. The dream world these people live in. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon. Oh, yeah, the state where now you can finally pump your own gas. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon and Representative Richard Neal of Massachusetts, where they have been shutting down coal plants and people were freezing to death over the big cold snap. The top Democrats on the tax writing committees wrote acting IRS Commissioner David Cotter, that they fear that the administration might, quote, unduly influence, unquote, the IRS to set tax withholding artificially low, leading taxpayers to think they are getting big tax cuts that they are then forced to return during tax filing season in April 2019. What a load. What an absolute load. They live in la-la land. They're delusional. Back to the story. President Trump and Republicans have touted that the public will start seeing the tax cuts in February when the new withholding tables reflecting the updated tax code are put in place. Cotter is Trump's appointee as acting IRS commissioner and also the top tax official at the Treasury. Quote, the Trump administration has tried at every turn to con the middle class into buying a tax scam that showers multinational corporations and the politically powerful with massive breaks, unquote, Wyden said. Quote, I'm proud to work with Ranking Member Neal to hold this administration accountable for any attempts to play shell games with the middle class wages and to keep millions of hardworking Americans from getting hit with unfair tax bills, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, are we really supposed to believe now that these two Democrats, one from Oregon and one from Massachusetts, give any crap about what kind of tax bill you're getting or I'm getting in this country? They just had power for 8 years. They just had a Democrat in office for 8 years. For a large, well, maybe not a large, but for a segment of that time, they controlled both houses in Congress. If any of them gave any crap about taxes and how they affect the middle class, they had an 8-year, nearly a decade. They had an opportunity to do something about it. They do not care about it. And now they wave these words and these phrases and this kind of accusatory tone around as if they're some kind of virtuous, moral, self-righteous pinnacles of society. What a load. The two also said that back to the story here, the two also said that they have asked the Government Accountability Office to analyze the new withholding tables for any manipulation. Paranoia, projection. Payroll companies expect, you know what? For any manipulation. Where was the Government Accountability Office when Obama lied dozens of times about keeping your plan on your doctor? Where was the Government Accountability Office on the Fast and Furious gun running scheme under Holder? Where is the Government Accountability Office on unmasking of American citizens to spy on the opposing party's candidate during the 2016 election? These people have no shame. There is zero reason to respect these people at any level. To finish this quick story up quickly, payroll companies expect that the new withholding tables will be put out in time for employees to see any tax benefits in their pay stubs as soon as February. Bring it on. Bring it on, I say. This Democrat effort, this mainstream media, liberal, progressive, socialist effort in this country to delegitimize everything that the Trump administration does is so bald-faced and so identifiable. As I've said before, they're not even hiding their manipulative tactics. They're not even hiding the propaganda. And they're not hiding their desire to agitate and divide us. They're not hiding behind their desire to try to split us up by our identities, the color of our skin, our sexual preferences, our financial class, all of the tools that are at their disposal to turn us into bitter, angry individuals, which is exactly what gives them the power to go and do as they please in government. They're using them all. It's absolutely shocking. And we see them, that's why anyone can go and write a book. And if they put something bad in it about Trump, well, you're going to hear about it. Turn on CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, NBC, ABC News. Turn on any of those and you're going to hear from everybody who has something negative to say about Trump, and they're going to make him a star. And it's all to try to convince you of what we know isn't true. It's try to distract us from the truth. The truth being that we elected a businessman who wants America to be great, because when America is great, all of the citizens benefit from that. There's none of the megalomaniacal nonsense that existed with Obama. There's none of the, I would use the same word, the megalomaniacal behavior and thought process and agenda and ideology of the Clinton family, of the Pelosi agenda, of the Schumer type, of the Schiff ilk. That's who we are in danger from. They are the people who believe that we are nothing but a pack of animals in this country that need their management, need their husbandry skills, that need to be kept in check and controlled and spoon-fed what they think we should be doing, why, and how. If you don't believe me, look at the state of California. Bankrupt, but wanting to set aside $1 billion so that illegal aliens can have health care. Health care is not a right. We have all of the wonderful things, the luxury that we live in, the quality of life, the standard of living in this country we have because of capitalism, because of the hard work of American citizens. Politicians, Democratic congresspeople, Republican congresspeople, you didn't build that. Former presidents, you didn't build that. Any success, any innovation, any progress that has come in this country throughout its history has been done by the American people. The ones who are willing to get up every day and go and take a chance and do something worth doing. Not a single politician, in my mind and in my estimation and my opinion, can claim responsibility for any of the positive aspects and consequences, the positive consequences for all of the globe that has been enjoyed by all of the globe, nearly. It's just absolutely insane to think otherwise. And while leftists and Democrats and the liberal mainstream media fall all over themselves to question Trump's ability to carry out the duties of the presidency, we can see all of those same people, the liberal mainstream media, the Democrats, the liberals in this country, showing themselves to be incapable of living amongst the rest of us peacefully. They must divide, they must agitate, they must conquer, they must rule, they must benefit, they must have their way. It is absolutely disgusting. And there's no way around it. There's no way around it. We will no longer be the collateral damage for their political agenda. I hope with all of my heart that more and more Americans will wake up to the fact that there are some folks who will game the system, yes, and who will do bad things. That's in all of life. The conserving of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, not just the private business political party of the Republicans. The people who want to preserve and keep in place our rights in our Constitution, the limits on government, the governing of ourselves by ourselves, those are the ones to choose. Not because they'll always be squeaky clean and wonderful, but because they won't consider us collateral damage to terrorism. They won't consider us collateral damage through abortion. They won't consider us collateral damage through their big government policies and swelling of the federal Goliath that is in Washington, D.C. right now. We have to give the people who will at least show some respect to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, those seats to represent us, all while we're trying to get back the control of our government to govern ourselves. We have to avoid Democrats like the plague, because they are a plague. They are the cancer that's eating away at the body of this amazing nation. And as we know, chemotherapy, being cured of cancer, treating it, going through those treatment processes, and the task of overcoming that disease is a painful one. It is not easy. It is not pretty. It is not enjoyable. It is not something that someone who has suffered from it would ever wish on someone else. But we as a nation have to do it. We must overcome the cancer of progressive liberalism, socialism, and there's no other way. There's no two ways about it, ladies and gentlemen. The modern Democrat Party is our biggest enemy. And they are helped daily, 24/7, by the liberally biased mainstream media, the cable news channels, and most of the print media in this country. No more. We have the chance in 2018. We'll have the chance again in 2020. Every election from here out, we're saving ourselves from disaster if Democrats and progressives and liberals are given any power and influence in this country. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more A Book to Shove in Your Skull and one tweet to trump them all right after this. This is BS with AJ on the Talk America Radio Network.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727.
What's your IRS problem? Do you owe back taxes? Is there a lien placed on your property? Have your bank accounts been frozen or seized? Have your wages been garnished? Are you being audited by the IRS? Are they sending you letters that demand actions and have urgent due dates? Well, solving your tax problems is as easy as calling Taxes 321. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. You need the best representation to give you peace of mind. You need experienced professionals that can cut through the red tape and stop the collection process. If you have a serious problem with the IRS, call the Taxes 321 network today. We'll get them off your back.
800-510-0338. 800-510-0338. 800-510-0338. 800-510-0338.
Welcome back to BS with AJ, folks. Thanks for staying tuned. This week's one tweet to trump them all. I'm doing the show on Monday here, so I'm sure that as this show airs throughout the week, there will be a new tweet to trump them all. This is my favorite one from the last week. This one's not quite as aggressive as many that came out right after the new year, but this one I think sends an important message, and it illustrates something very important. Here is the tweet from Donald J. Trump. Quote, African-American unemployment is the lowest ever recorded in our country. The Hispanic unemployment rate dropped a full point in the last year and is close to the lowest in recorded history. Dems did nothing for you but get your vote. Hashtag never forget at Fox and Friends. The tweet that trumps them all. Ladies and gentlemen, Barack Obama was our president for 8 years. This did not happen under Barack Obama. The Hispanic unemployment rate did not drop a full point during Obama's presidency. In fact, President Obama never had a quarter over 3% growth. First ever in American history, ever. He did not do anything for the people of this country. He served his party's ideology. He served his party's agenda. He practiced apologetics, the guilt of America, because we just have too much. We've stolen so much. There's just so much racism and bigotry and misogyny and Islamophobia, and we're just awful, awful people. That was the Obama presidency, trying to atone for all that he saw that was unjust and unfair and unequal. None of that, of course, being true. If all any of us have to do is get up every day and go and live our lives, and we see people of all colors, all backgrounds, all creeds, all religions, working hard and living lives, trying to better themselves, their family's future, their own future, the situations they're in. That's what I would guess a majority, maybe not a majority, but a majority, in my opinion, of people want. They just want things to be better than they are. The problem is they've been fooled into thinking that, many of them, that only government can do that only a Democrat really cares. They've been fooled into thinking that they're victims of someone or something. And for most of us, I've got to say it, the only victim usually that we are is a victim of ourselves, of not knowing something that would have helped us make a different decision, of not making the right decision, of not working hard enough here, not knowing enough there, doing what we thought was right there and finding out we were wrong. There's no guarantee in life. Many of us know that. Some of you will be thinking, well, AJ, that's pretty simple. There's no guarantee. Yes, but what is it that the Democrat Party and the leftists and the liberals and the progressives want us to believe? Well, that there is guarantees. There's guaranteed health care. There's guaranteed income. There's guaranteed housing. There's guaranteed food. There's guaranteed health care. None of these things are true. The only reason we have the things that we have is because we progressed technologically and culturally to a level where we no longer have to worry the way that third world countries do about these things like healthcare and housing and food, nutrition, health, all of those things. We created that ourselves. As I said last segment, it wasn't the government that created that. The government didn't do all of this. The American people did. The government hasn't created anything that's helped the American people except for a strong military and strong borders, which, again, we've seen, especially during the Obama administration, those weaken. Even under George W. Bush, we saw our border situation weaken. In the 80s under Reagan, we saw an Immigration Act passed that opened the floodgates, causing us to be in the situation that we're in now. We've woken up and decided that we want it to be different, that we're going to enforce laws, that we're going to draw boundaries, that we're going to stop folks at the border, that we're going to have a lawful way to enter this country and become a citizen, not to bring those third world cultures and medieval theocratic ideas here, that this is where you come to escape them. This is where you come to be free, to pursue your own happiness. The liberal, left, Democrat Party in this country has no interest in preserving a pursuit of happiness, no interest in preserving liberty. Their interest is in being in control, enriching themselves, and being able to command and demand from us, the ones who actually do the producing, the ones who provide them with all of those billions and trillions of dollars every year to spend as they've decided fit, that give them the money and put into Social Security the money they steal, that have built the hospitals and done the medical research, the doctors who work trying to save lives and cure illnesses. The Democrat Party and the left and the progressives and the liberals in this country want us to believe that, no, we didn't do that. They told us. Obama, Hillary, they've told us. We didn't build that. It was government. Government is who we should respect. Government is who we should turn to. Government is who we should depend on, hand to mouth, week to week, to provide for us. That's what's represented by the Democrat Party. It doesn't matter where they come from, who they are. None of the identity politics matters. If someone is a Democrat this day and age in the United States, they believe that you and me are too stupid to do the right thing, to understand what's the right thing to do. We're too stupid to eat the right way. We won't be healthy individuals if we're left to ourselves. And many people would say, well, AJ, that's true. Well, welcome to freedom. The freedom to be unhealthy, the freedom to pursue your own happiness, which might be the highest caloric intake you could ever find, and maybe you'll end up 600 pounds. The point isn't that we try to have government prevent bad things from happening to us when we pursue our own happiness and we pursue our own freedom. It's about keeping the government in check so that all of us can do it, and educating our children, ourselves, our future generations, so that they can decide on their own that pursuing their own happiness doesn't result in their 600-pound life, in their teen pregnancy, in their decision to make an abortion, in the practice or thought process of bigotry or racism or misogyny. The Democrat Party and the liberal left in this country do not think you or me or anybody else that has ever been born before or who will be born are capable of any of that, and that it needs to be left to them. They are the angels who can bring us a utopian existence where everywhere is a safe space and nobody ever gets hurt. It's nonsense. It's sad, is really what it is. But, as I say, there is a motivation behind it. There is a goal that the liberal left and the Democrat Party and the establishment of the political types inside the Beltway in Washington, D.C., and in too many cities and states across this nation, where people will convince you that they will have the answers to provide that kind of safe space, utopian existence where nothing bad will ever happen and you'll always have what you want. They will be the seats of power. They will be the ones in control. They will be the ones who will decide. And that kind of power calls to them. It tempts them. They believe they have a right to it. They believe they're entitled to dictate to the rest of us how to live, what to think, what to say, what to drive, what to eat, what to read. All of it. We're animals to them. We need to be taken care of as if we're in a big zoo called the United States of America. And we should remove anything that might be dangerous, that we might hurt ourselves with. Right on down to scissors and rocks, ladies and gentlemen. That's where it would end. How do we know that, AJ? Well, we just look around the globe. And we see, we look at Venezuela. We look at North Korea. We look at Iran. Those protesters and the people in those countries who want to effect change, they won't be bringing AK-47s to the fight. They'll be throwing rocks. It's just absolutely a fact. And that's what the Democrat Party and the liberal and the left in this country represent. A future where none of us would be left but with a Stone Age weapon, the rock, if they get their way. We can't allow that to happen. This week's book to shove in your skull, well, it's not quite a book, but it's a place to get them. Your local thrift store. I live in a small town in North Dakota, and we have two. They have a book section. Books are 50 cents, $1, $1.25, 75 cents, whatever it might be. The change in your pocket, the change in your couch. Many of us in this society, where so many of us are literate, something that has not been common throughout human history. Many of us who don't read think, man, maybe I should read a book. I should go find something. I should read more. I should learn more. The thrift store is the place to start. Biographies, fiction, romance, mystery, cookbooks, religious, self-help, all of the above. That is the place. And you can go in and you can buy 7 or 8, and it won't break your bank. Shove all of the books in your skull you can. You'll find Ayn Rand. You'll find J.K. Rowling. You'll find the classics. You'll find books of every type, covering every subject. Biographies of every type, from world leaders to world demons. You will find them at your local thrift store. And many times those local thrift stores benefit some great community programs. So this week I would say shove a book in your skull of any type that you might choose, or maybe you've been thinking of buying. Find it at a thrift store. And it'll help cause some positive impact in your community. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with more at some point. BS with AJ. Until then, stay warm this winter. It's cold, frigid, and bye, Earth.